GM, sirs and sirs, welcome back to the Krown Crypto channel. Wishing you a happy day start to this like first day. It's the first day of fucking July, and there's plenty to discuss actually today for Bitcoin, as we do have a monthly, quarterly, and even 6-month time frame closing as well, and some good old July analysis, which I want to get into the statistics for that. I'll hopefully make this one a little bit more on the digestible side, but before we get into it, I do want to once again let you know that you can still get the Jewel Light for free for the first 30 days if you follow the directions in the link in the description below. There's also an affiliate link to the Apex Centrals Exchange, which may or may not be relevant for you. It'll also award you 5% off your trading fees. And then most importantly, we do have a sale coming up on any one of the programs and products coming out for next week, as it is 4th of July. So, if you're thinking about any one of those, maybe just wait a day or two and it will be, and it'll save you a few bucks. All right, sweet. Let's jump right on into it. We're going to start it off right on over here, kind of as a continuation of last month's, analysis. We started off the month looking at the June closes, essentially suggesting, what has essentially happened in the past. Is there some seasonality to be aware of for June for Bitcoin? And as we denoted, there was 8 out of 13 Junes that closed with positive gains for Bitcoin. That's actually going to go up to 9 out of 14 now, because obviously Bitcoin had a pretty damn good month right there. I actually want to see what the statistics were looking like for June, as I still have them over here. And we actually did see an average return of about 26.75% for the winning months. And what essentially did we close with, or not we, but Bitcoin closed with? That's actually kind of crazy. 26.88 on the month right there from low to high. Not bad right there. Obviously, if we go just from open to close, and that's going to be obviously significantly less, about 11%, but still pretty damn good nonetheless for the BULAs. Now, as you can probably already see, as I've given away my cards here, I've done the same thing for July, and 9 out of the past 13 Julys, or the total Julys, I should say, did close with positive gains. So, slightly better seasonality than June, we might say, but more importantly, we can go ahead and dive into the data and see what the what the prior Julys looked like, and then siphon them off by the winning side and the losing side. And as we can see right here, there have been 9 out of past 13, which gives it about a 69.25% win rate. Nice, very, very nice indeed. An average win P&L of about $1,000, but that's not really helpful because Bitcoin is, has exponential growth, and these early years over here, where it's gaining, even under $1, but having tremendous returns, doesn't really play into that data. But if we go by the actual returns themselves for the winning side and the losing side, the average return for the winning side would be over 100%. But as you can see right here, the first July actually was a pretty big outlier at 800%. So if I were to just get rid of that, what would it look like? Yeah, something a little bit more reasonable. Still pretty fucking far out there, to be quite honest with you. But over 19.25% for the winning months, that is. Now, on the losing side, did lose an average of 10% on those Julys, if it was going to be a losing month. But we can start to base the rest of our analysis off of that, keeping in mind that if we get more bullish signals, then perhaps the average return for the winning side would be more relevant, and for the losing side, we can do that as well. But going back into it over here, let's just play around with numbers. Let's just see what would things look like if it were to put in another almost 20% move to the upside from this open at just above $30,000, and that would put Bitcoin at about $36,000. That's a very interesting number, isn't it? Because that is the last major CME gap coming in from not July, but May of last year. Yeah, coming in right around here, $36,000, as you can see. So, do these things kind of play hand in hand? Perhaps yes, but I think that there's more compelling data that we'll get into next, actually, as getting a bias on direction. So I want to bring some out. I've alluded to it in the past, but haven't gone fully in depth in it recently. And this would be an analysis on monthly volatility, represented by the HBDRV indicator over here. Caretaker still has not fully released this one, just because I know I'm going to get a lot of questions about this. But let him have his time. Obviously, Caretaker has been an absolute godsend to us, and in this case, it looks like there's something of significant interest right here, because we do see two things, but one of them is obviously more relevant right now. The one that's more relevant right now is that we start to see volatility on the monthly really come down hard towards the 50 percentile marker after hitting extremes, which happen, what do you know, exactly on the lows in November right here, which, by the way, all extremes on monthly volatility have been met with actual macro lows on Bitcoin. I didn't mark them off on the charts, obviously, because I wanted to focus on the second, that first point that I made, in the sense that, yeah, now that it's coming down hard right here, what has that looked like in the past? When Bitcoin volatility on the monthly has been around these levels? Well, we can start it off at the genesis here, going back all the way to March of 2011, and this was like, just kind of getting in there. But as you can see, that was the beginning, or I don't know necessarily about the beginning, but that was right before a pretty mega launch for Bitcoin, as Bitcoin went from about 78 cents all the way up to $38, clean 4,600% gainer. Kind of crazy. Not suggesting that that's necessarily going to happen, but we'll talk about theoriness, after we get through the stats here. The next one over here, obviously, was in January of 2013. Again, getting going as Bitcoin was essentially reapproaching these prior range highs from the prior cycle, and another pretty impressive run right there on that first 90 days for another 1,300+%. Obviously, even went up higher than that over time, but you can see that one, pretty damn good. Similar positioning over here as Bitcoin, again, put in the lows obviously before, and then was rallying into what I kind of consider the median of this overall range for this macro cycle from 2013, 2014, leading onwards and forwards. And as we can see here, again, Bitcoin goes on for a pretty nice run in the next 120 days, 80% plus. And then, of course, continues onwards and upwards from there. And then we do have this one over here in August of 2019. Obviously, you can see that this one did happen a little bit before the old Rona dump. If we were to put this on a line chart, however, this would look quite different, as it, it doesn't, it only counts for opens and closes. Doesn't really show you the interim price action. You can see that, if we kind of equate for that, and maybe make an excuse for the black swan, which of course they can and do happen, but it is low probability, as you would imagine. We can see that Bitcoin essentially went sideways from this point and catapulted to the upside later on after that. Again, maybe a bit of a different situation there, just because Bitcoin did have, or not Bitcoin, but the world had a bit of a black swan event with the old Rona dump. So perhaps that's an outlier. I don't know. Again, we have the same thing over here in 2020 October, before Bitcoin gets ready to go from basically 14,000 bucks, again reapproaching the closing highs that we saw from the prior cycle, and going all the way up to 60,000 plus. And as you can see right now, we continue to see volatility trend down, which generally speaking is a good sign for upside. Why is that? Well, in traditional markets especially, you expect volatility to be trending down, or to be contracting on these higher term timeframes as price action rallies up, because it is, there's really just no reason to panic, because things just trade sideways and up. Contrast that with major downside moves, which people start to panic. Panic creates volatile price action. Volatile price action creates, the opportunity for major macro lows. And that is typically why we do see volatility extremes on all macro lows, especially in Bitcoin. And you will notice the same thing in traditional markets as well. And typically volatility gets crushed as things just kind of, float sideways and up, as there's no real reason to get crazy, with erratic decisions, emotional decisions, you might say. So in this case right here, I would say that's another thing, a little bit more on the side of the boo laws, perhaps suggesting that July might play within those seasonality rules, maybe even testing that CME gap at 36,000 bucks. Later this month, perhaps in alignment with a few other things as well. What else can we look at in terms of this? Well, of course, we can go ahead and reference the quarterly and the 6-month chart, which also closed as of last night. And what do you know? We do see hidden bullish evidence. Obviously, this already happened on the quarterly chart, but the 6-month chart has officially confirmed hidden bullish evidence, and it looks like the 6-month RSI will have a chance to get into the bullish control zone for the first time since January of 2020. In this next 6-month period. So, obviously this is going to take a damn long time, but one thing before the next, obviously. So in that case, I'd say another thing, a little bit more on the side of the boo laws right there. Although, we are kind of, having a lack of data, to be quite frank with you. It would be nice if we had like 50 years of price action history, but alas, there's only 13 or 14 now in Bitcoin's history. So can just doing the best with what we got right here. All right, sweet. So we've gone through that. Let's go ahead and reference some of the higher term time frame stochastic momentum pivots. We can see that the 2-month stochastic, the 2-month period, which did close last night as well, has also twisted up on the 2-month stochastic oscillator, which will be remaining with upside pressure as long as Bitcoin's above about $26,000. Not bad. Monthly obviously continues to remain vertical, well above the moving average now, and will be remaining with upside pressure as long as Bitcoin's above $19,000. Looks pretty damn good for right now, as Bitcoin more than $10,000 above that momentum pivot. I suppose now we could just briefly go into the lower term time frames. Really, nothing's changed there, but I wanted to show on the HPDR indicator, or at least I made a tweet on this yesterday, but I wanted to show it on video here. Despite yesterday's dump-ola price action, range is still the range, to the upside, a little bit above $31,000 now. To the downside, you see a nice wick, almost exactly in alignment with the 4-hour range lows there at about 29.4. So, and Bitcoin pops back up right around the average of the range. I mean, nothing new. And I guess I kind of didn't even speak about the big fucking elephant in the room, or is that the saying? I don't know. But something about, the SEC, what do they do? Well, the SEC came out and said, these Bitcoin ETF filings are inconsequential. No, they're insufficient, which was a pretty clickbaity headline, to be fair. I understand it, being a YouTuber as well. You do some clickbait here and there to get some views, obviously. But if you actually read ahead into the real complaint, they're basically just like, hey, could you provide us which exchange you intend to reference for this? And you can refile. It's all good. Like, it's not a big deal. Which it seems like several of the inquirers have already refiled, actually using Coinbase, which is a really interesting choice, seeing as they're coming under fire from the SEC already. So who knows what happens with that? But at the end of the day, price action comes back into the middle of the range. Not really much to update right there. We can go through stochastic momentum, but as far as the current range goes, 29,650 to the downside on a 4-hour versus about 31.3 to the upside on a 4-hour. Referencing stochastic momentum here, we can see that the daily will actually turn up above 30,600. Again, getting into some pretty critical territories here, so it would suggest that Bitcoin does kind of need to level off and continue this rally within the next few days if this one is going to continue from this region before a greater pullback. 12-hour time frame is going to actually be freshly turning up above 30,130, which it's currently about $300 above right now. Actually, I should denote that there is a pretty good resetting here, although not fully down, but still within the bullish control zone. So again, as long as Bitcoin's above that pivot, one more push for the Boodlaws might be in the cards in the short term. 6-hour time frame turns back up above 30,525. Bitcoin trading about almost $100 below that pivot right now. 4-hour time frame is going to be freshly turning down, actually below 30,750, and hourly time frame is going to be also freshly down below 30,450. I'm not getting like a whole hell of a lot from this. We do see a little bit more of the medium term time frames angled to the downside. What does that align with? Maybe some more sideways here. Maybe some more sideways. Maybe another retest of the bottom side of the range. But as long as Bitcoin holds that, it does look like there's probably one more push to the upside in the cards before maybe a greater consolidation. Anyways, I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off on this particular video, keeping it a little bit more on the shorter side. Tomorrow we'll come back, we'll probably do an Ethereum analysis tomorrow and then save Monday for maybe some more macro analysis if it is warranted. What I'd really like to see is just some fresh fucking price action, huh? How about that? Something new here, as Bitcoin has essentially been spending, what is it now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, almost 2 weeks at this $30,000 level or so. So it'd be nice to see something new there, but hey, fair enough. Price action going to do what price action going to do, and I would like to wish you a happy and healthy. No, my brain's breaking, man. My brain's broken. I did not get enough sleep last night. Don't know why, but actually I do know why. It's too fucking hot in this bitch. It's like all these homes here in Helsinki are built to withstand the the winter. So it just gets like really, really bad in summer, actually, when there's any sort of, above 20 degrees heat wave going on, even though the air conditioning is running at all hours of the day. Don't know how that works, but you know what? Doesn't matter. I would like to be wishing you the best as always. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.